First up is the 2030 Traveler. A time traveler known only as Noah claims to be from the year 2030. Now this story I'm telling you is from 2017, so just keep that in mind. He turned up on the radio show Kyle and Jackie O and told them that he traveled multiple times in the past but was stuck in the present day. I usually went from like early 1999 to like 2018 around here, but when I got stuck I was in the year 2017, he explained. So how does he do it? I have many body implications and things all over myself, and I step in this giant dome and these things fire up, and basically a large electronic weight basically pushes you through time. It feels like you got electrocuted, he said. Now, one of the most shocking things was that he claims that us humans will be able to communicate with aliens. He said, "We've confirmed the existence of aliens, but they're not incredibly intelligent. Right now, the government has communication with them, but we don't know it. In the future, we actually are in contact with aliens that are just as smart as humans, although we have many more advancements over them," he said. Now, of course, his claims have attracted skepticism, and in response he agreed to take a lie detector test on camera. He listed events he said will happen in the next 12 years, and then the interviewer asked if he was telling the truth, and the machine records that he is. I mean, I guess this guy is legit. Up next is the chain of events. TikTok user Eno Alarkic, who is a time traveler from 2671, has gained thousands of followers on the app by posting warnings about future events. In one video, Eno wrote, "Attention, I am a time traveler from the year 2671, and I'm here to warn you about these 5 dates to come. November 30th, 2022, the James Webb Telescope discovers a planet that is a mirrored version of Earth. January 1st, 2023, a plane flying over the Bermuda Triangle goes missing. March 3rd, 2023, a message is received all around the world that seems to have come from the ocean. May 15th, 2023, a 750 mega tsunami hits the California coast, mainly San Francisco. And June 18th, 2023, 7 people mysteriously fall from the sky, but there was nothing flying in that area." Now, how believable is this? Well, I don't really think any of this happened, but just the thoughts of these events even happening is chilling. Moving on to the alien invasion. On March 23rd, 2023, a time traveler who warned of an alien invasion claims that said extraterrestrials had arrived on Earth and abducted 8,000 Earthlings. The champion has arrived to bring 8,000 people to another planet, they said. The so-called time traveler warned of a very hostile alien species known as the Distance that are coming to take back the Earth. It's a fight we will not win. They claim that the champions were looking for the best engineers, scientists, doctors, and leaders, and these 8,000 people are what keep the human species alive from inside and outside threats. Thankfully though, they add, "I want you all to know that you are safe, and I'm trying to warn you of what's to come." Now, last year we were having all those weird UFO sightings. Could those have been related to this incident they are talking about? I don't know, maybe. Now we have the dangers of technology. A time traveler claims to have come back from the future to warn us all of an impending apocalypse, humans versus technology. They said there was one huge computer controlling everything, which is not controlled by a person, but makes all demands and decisions itself. Apparently the computer had the power to destroy the entire planet at once. So did this person really just confirm that we live in a simulation? I think so. Now, speaking to the camera, the time traveler, who had his voice and identity changed to protect himself, said, "I was not born here, I was born in 3258 on December 1st in the European Empire." Now, the time traveler explained that he was drafted into the army at 18 and wore a uniform made of gold and saw everything that happened in 3260. He said there were not only robots, they were very clever and can take the decisions communicated with each other. He said the war began on September 21st, 33,000 when he was 42, and that there has never been such a war on the planet. It was fateful and tragic for all people all over the world. Now, I'm not gonna lie guys, I feel like this is plausible and makes me scared, but I won't be alive in 33,000, so I don't really have to worry. Now let's talk about the alien war. A time traveler from the year 2858 has claimed the world will end in 2038 during a war with an alien species that has apparently already invaded Earth. A mysterious social media user who claims to be a time traveler from the year 2858 has claimed to know how the world is going to end. The user claims that aliens have come to Earth to take over the planet, but the war apparently won't start until 2024. Now, guys, let me remind you that we are in 2024 right now. They said the first war will begin in early 2024 and will end in 2038, with the Earth being destroyed. Captioning the clip, they added, "Another species of aliens save us, but not the planet." The first being that everyone would dream of an alien invasion by a species called the Zels on February 28th, before the actual invasion, which was supposedly meant to take place on March 2nd. Now people took to the comments to debate whether the alleged warnings could come true or not. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Catastrophic events are next. A time traveler from the year 3036 has left us some scary messages about the future. In a series of videos posted on his channel, the mysterious traveler claims the world's population in 3036 will reach record levels, with domestic animals such as cats and dogs considered exotic. Now he also warned of something called the Big Blackout. The Big Blackout, if I'm not mistaken, happens in December 2052. Basically everything goes dark for an upward of 5 years, the internet, the power, it all gets disconnected on account of what's called the terrors, but many speculate otherwise. Anyway, 5 years, it's turmoil, riots, you name it, it's pretty much the worst of times. It takes them upwards to 20 years to get the power back online, and even then it's absolute chaos. Now he also added, "You're as free as you're ever gonna get right now," he said, staring directly back into the camera. "These are considered the last days of freedom. Your kids won't even see it, so suck it up, because as simple-minded as your time period is, you got it pretty good, you just don't know it." Yeah, that is scary. I do not like that. Then we have the end of humanity. A TikToker that goes by Javier claims to be a time traveler. Javier's first video, posted in February 2021, depicts scenes throughout the city of Valencia, Spain that look relatively normal, except for one fact: the city appears to be completely void of people. In the video, which has been viewed over 7 million times, he claims to be a time traveler from the year 2027. He says that by then humanity will have gone extinct. A translation of the text within the video describes the eerie scene. Nobody in shopping malls, nobody on the streets. In a video posted soon after, he adds, "I keep trying to find human life, I'm starting to lose hope." Now what happens to humans he doesn't say, but 2027 isn't too far away, and we have to prevent whatever he claims will happen. On to the time travel program. A disguised woman who has introduced herself as Mia claims to have been recruited into a secret US time travel program before she finished high school. The alleged time traveler said she was offered good money to travel nearly 600 years into the future, where the world is completely different to how we know it today. Allegedly, the world faces the irreparable consequences of climate change, the rise of artificial intelligence, and aliens settling on Earth. Now this seems realistic. Now by the year 2600, the concept of independent nations will cease to exist, and humans will be ruled over by a world government run by AI. At the same time, humans will supposedly live in 11 megacities spread across the globe, where they will coexist with smart robots and aliens. The time traveler said, "I visited the year 2600, and it's very hard to explain to you what it was like because it's so different from the world we live in today. I saw robots, aliens, and human beings all living together in peace." And she added that, "I talked to people from this time and they told me how the world had changed. They said that the red sky was caused by global warming and that they all had microchips in them that made them smarter than their brains normally were. They said countries no longer existed and that the whole world was governed by AI." Yeah, that sounds terrifying. Next up we have Trevor the Time Traveler. Self-proclaimed Trevor the Time Traveler is from the year 2049, and he claims to know when World War III will break out. He claims to be visiting from over 2 decades into our future in search of his pal Roger, aka Kronos. But while on his so-called mission, he stopped to make videos warning people of what's to come, with claims about catastrophic events from aliens to natural disasters. However, among these warnings, Trevor claimed to know when World War III would break out and shared information to his followers. In a clip, Trevor wrote, "Here are 3 dates that something terrible is going to happen. Remember this date: February 21st, 2024, something very big will happen. May 29th, 2030, a 3rd World War will start, lasting 7 years between the North and South. And 2037, the war ends and the second baby boom happens, growing the population too high." And last on our list is that the US is destroyed. A TikTok time traveler posted posted a video saying, "I'm a real time traveler from the year 2236, and I've come to a date and time to warn you about upcoming events in the next few years," they wrote. They said in 2022 scientists discover a way to bring back the megalodon shark through using its DNA, and they create a real megalodon in 2023, and surprisingly nothing goes wrong. In 2025, scientists discover signs of life on 2 different planets, and they're proven to be more advanced than humans, they predicted. A meteor will come down to Earth in 2034 and will wipe out half of America, they said, and the alleged time traveler suggests that 50% of the US would be destroyed in just 12 years. The self-confessed Time Lord made another forecast for the upcoming decade, as they predicted the Maui dolphin will become extinct. Now this isn't all. The TikToker also claimed that Disney will buy another large film studio, and one of the largest tornadoes will hit North America, causing many casualties. Now, while we don't know if the Meg is back yet, I think this is believable. We'll also just have to wait until 2025 to see if they're right.
Alright, we're going to start things off with John Titor. This individual claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2036. So in 2000, posts started showing up on various online forums by a man known as John Titor, sharing detailed accounts of his time travel experiences and predictions about the future. According to Titor, he was a soldier sent back in time to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer, which he claimed was necessary to debug various computer systems in his future. He provided technical details about the time machine he used, describing it as a stationary mass temporal displacement unit powered by 2 top-spin dual positive singularities. Titor also claimed that he traveled back to the year 1975 before making a pit stop in the early 2000s. Included in this series of posts were predictions about future events, including some ominous warnings about the impending collapse of society. Titor wrote that there would be a World War III and claimed that it would result in widespread chaos, with cities becoming uninhabitable and governments collapsing. You know what? I appreciate how creative this guy is. I'm actually very entertained by it. Good job on John Titor's part, even though that's most likely very much not his real name. Alright, next up we have Edgar Cayce, often referred to as the Sleeping Prophet. He was an American psychic who did most of his work in the early to mid 1900s. He was known for entering into this deep, trance-like state while giving readings on a wide range of topics like health, spirituality, Atlantis for some reason came up a lot, and of course future events. Now he didn't explicitly discuss time travel, but he did describe his consciousness leaving his body, combining this with future prophecies, and that's basically traveling in time. Cayce's predictions often revolved around a concept he referred to as the Earth changes. According to his readings, these changes were geological and environmental shifts that would happen in the future, leading to problems. Some of his predictions included the shifting of the Earth's axis, which would result in changes in climate and sea levels. He also spoke of societal and political catastrophe, saying the only way to avoid it was through spiritual awakening and moral development as a society to help mitigate the severity of these events. Alright, we're following that up with a pretty incredible man. A man who's not only traveled through time, future, and past, but has also traveled through space, making multiple trips to and from Mars. Ladies and gentlemen of Most Amazing Top 10, please give a warm and enthusiastic round of claps to none other than Andrew Basiago. Basiago claims to have been a participant in a secretive government project involved in time travel as a young boy. It was called Project Pegasus, which he says was developed by the United States government in the 60s and 70s. According to him, the project involved teleportation and time travel experiments, and he claims to have been sent to various points in the past and future. One of Basiago's most sensational claims is that he was sent back in time to witness historical events, including the Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln in 1863. He's also talked about how he traveled to the future and saw potential catastrophic events, including a vision of a devastated Washington, D.C. Basiago's accounts involve the use of a device called a chronovisor, which I love, and a teleportation technology known as teleporters. He also describes these technologies as being capable of manipulating time and space, allowing folks to travel to different eras and locations instantaneously. So if you want to learn more about these time travel events, just ask Barack Obama, because apparently he was right there with Basiago for some of these time travel trips. Let's throw a witch into the mix, shall we? Mother Shipton. One tale goes that her mother Agatha was a witch herself and summoned the devil before her to bring her a child. And that child was Ursula Southill, aka Mother Shipton, who instead of crying like most babies when she was born, made an unsettling cackling sound because she was a half and half. Dad was a devil, mom was a witch. Bit of a nasty shock for everyone when they found out. She lived in the 16th century, and her predictions, which were often in the form of rhymes, have been studied and analyzed for centuries. Her verses are filled with vivid imagery and poetic language. She prophesies technological advancements, political changes, and horrible natural disasters. She's said to have predicted the invention of cars, submarines, and even airplanes. But she also made vague predictions about the end times. The original date was 1821, which obviously didn't come true, unless we're all just living in some Matrix-style computer simulation or something. So the end of the world date keeps being reassessed and bumped forward. Don't worry though, guys, things will all come crashing down eventually. Next up, we have Harold Camping, a former Christian radio evangelist. This guy used his mind to travel to the future so often, they just kept fumbling the dates of his doomsday predictions and had to keep reassessing and, again, bumping them up. Unfortunately though, everything just kept on being okay. First he said the world was gonna end in early September of 94. It didn't, but he was adamant that 94 was gonna be the year and reassessed and realized, oh wait, it's actually end of September. Sorry, 29th, not the 6th. Then he bumped it up to October and so on. But you know what? I can't imagine being clairvoyant is very easy on the brain. It must be a bit confusing and overwhelming to the senses. Anyway, then he said Christ was going to return on May 21st of 2011, which was a good thing for him and his followers, but bad for everyone else, of course, as the pitiful non-believers were going to be suffering an eternal torment. It was a very exciting time, but sadly, May 21st passed on without any horrific suffering, on a mass scale anyway. I guess somebody's suffering every day. So Harold Camping, being the incredible clairvoyant wizard that he was, said, well, the spiritual judgment, that happened on May 21st. We've all been assessed, getting everyone's paperwork together, but get excited, folks. October, that's when the physical rapture is gonna happen. And it didn't. And apparently Camping was clairvoyant enough to know it too, because he quit working on the radio station just a few days before this apparent biblical apocalypse was set to take place. If there's two things that seem to go together like chocolate and peanut butter, it's time travel and space travel. And that's exactly why I have Heaven's Gate cult leader Marshall Applewhite on the list. This guy firmly believed the world was coming to an end and that the only way to survive was to ascend to a higher plane of existence by shedding the physical form and reaching the very creatively titled Next Level, where he and his followers would live a happy, transcendent existence in space. Most of you know how this went. Applewhite and the rest of the Heaven's Gate cult donned their uniforms, complete with armbands reading Heaven's Gate Away Team, and consumed heavy amounts of a certain substance, washing it down with vodka, before suffocating themselves with plastic bags over their head. I'm not really sure why they needed the uniforms, seeing as the whole point was they were shedding their physical forms, but who am I, right? You know? Rudolph Steiner. This guy was the founder of a spiritual movement called anthroposophy. His teachings delved into the nature of existence, human consciousness, and the spiritual world in general. His philosophy often touched on the idea of spiritual evolution and the cyclical nature of existence. He often discussed reincarnation in his work, meaning that, according to him, people go through multiple lifetimes to learn and evolve spiritually, so it may not be time travel in a conventional sense, but it does imply a journey through time on a more spiritual level. He also spoke about the idea that humanity is on a path of development, and our collective actions and choices play a big role in shaping the future, and a major consequence of humanity not developing spiritually, again, according to him, meant that a very dark future was ahead. Next on the list is David Meade. This guy is a conspiracy theorist and author who's made a number of predictions about an impending apocalypse, mostly linking it to a planet called Nibiru, or Planet X. Meade, who identifies as a Christian numerologist, claimed to have uncovered hidden codes within the Bible, using them to predict specific celestial events. His predictions have focused on the alignment of celestial bodies and certain numeric numerical calculations that point to a catastrophic collision between Earth and Planet X. I remember hearing a lot about this doomsday prediction leading up to 2012. That was a big year for end of the world predictions. Once again, didn't pan out though. Next up, we have David Icke. David Icke is a British conspiracy theorist known for promoting some pretty unconventional ideas. One of his most notorious claims involves the existence of shape-shifting reptilian humanoid aliens who, according to him, secretly control the world. You've heard of this stuff before, especially if you watch this channel. Icke suggests that many prominent figures, world leaders, and celebrities for the most part, are actually reptilians in disguise. The idea that powerful figures are actually reptilian aliens manipulating humanity has become a pretty well-known conspiracy theory at this point, and some people really believe it, like wholeheartedly. Icke has also made plenty of predictions about the end of the world, and as well as other, global conspiracies. He's talked about how the global elite, working in collaboration with these supposed reptilian beings, are orchestrating events to control and manipulate the world, and of course, they don't have our best intentions in mind. I guess his publisher might have been one of these reptilians, because at a certain point, apparently he was just like, no more of this. I can't publish any of these books anymore. So now he just self-publishes. He's got like tons of books about this stuff. It's nuts. Finally though, we have Baba Vanga. If you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you've probably heard of this lady before. She's made all kinds of horrific predictions about the future, some of which were pretty eerily accurate. For those of you who aren't aware though, Baba Vanga was a Bulgarian mystic and clairvoyant born in 1911 and died in 1996. She became famous for her apparent ability to make predictions about the future, and a good number of these predictions were pretty bad. Her predictions were wide-ranging, covering global events, natural disasters. One of her biggest apocalyptic predictions was that the world would end in the 51st century, but she didn't really give a lot of explicit detail about how that would occur, so good luck to us trying to avoid it. Similar to Nostradamus, her prophecies were usually a bit on the cryptic side, open to interpretation. And we're starting off our list with a traveler who has some pretty bad news for animal lovers out there. John, a self-proclaimed time traveler, claims to have actually come from the year 4000 and traveled back in time with some interesting details about the future. Apparently, in the year 4000, technology will have advanced to such an extent that artificial intelligence dominates most of the world. He describes a world where AI merges with daily human activity, leading to a new era where biological and artificial entities coexist almost seamlessly. Seems like this is going to happen way sooner than the year 4000 though. One of the more specific claims John makes is about the way corporations will evolve in the future. He states that all companies will be owned by a single mega corporation that uses AI to manage its operations. This corporation supposedly designs, builds, and controls robots that perform nearly all types of jobs, pushing humans out of the workforce. According to John, the result is a society where human labor is no longer necessary and robots handle most tasks. John also notes that these advancements in AI and robotics lead to changes in the environment and the social structure of society. He also states that pets like cats and dogs won't be a thing anymore, and that all birds were destroyed in order to prevent them from colliding with flying cars. Aren't there a lot more things we could collide with, like driving normal cars, than like up in the sky? Why don't we destroy everything in our path, already? I don't know. That's an odd one. Next up, we have a man named William Taylor who has some pretty wild things to say about the future, and interesting side note, he also passed a lie detector test, apparently. Now, I know lie detector tests aren't always foolproof, but not many people who claim to have traveled to the future have gone through any kind of test like that. So if that is true about the test, I don't know, that's kind of interesting. In 2018, a man named William Taylor claimed to have been part of a British intelligence project in which he traveled all the way to the year 8973. And he said that things were, or will be, actually pretty good in the distant future, so good in fact that he didn't even want to leave and come back to this time. Now, the only thing is that humans won't exist anymore, not the way we do currently anyway. Instead, a species of human-robot hybrids will populate the Earth, but no disease or crime will plague it, and these beings experience eternal life. Taylor also revealed some other intriguing information, like how time travel has actually been used by world governments since 1981. The technology was apparently reverse engineered from alien spacecrafts. A TikTok channel called Real TikTok Time Traveler started posting some pretty outlandish videos in 2022, mainly because this anonymous user claimed to be a time traveler. Is a channel the correct term when it comes to TikTok, by the way? Page? Like, do you say just like user? I'm very out of touch. I don't know where I am. Help me. But they've posted tons of videos making all kinds of claims about what the future holds, most of it pretty dark, because that's what people just love gobbling up. They claim to be from the year 2236, and mostly post about events that will be playing out over the next 10 years. Some of their standouts include, in 2025, scientists discovering signs of life on 2 different planets that are proven to be more advanced than humans, and a meteor coming down to Earth in 2034 that will wipe out half of America. So look forward to that. Alaric goes by the handle Radiant Time Traveler on TikTok and has shared some pretty grave warnings about the future. He claims to be from the year 2671, and in his latest video, he lets the fine people of the internet know about some of the notable stuff that's going to go down in the remainder of 2024. Keep May 15th marked down in your calendar, because an alien race is going to show up on Earth and transport 10,000 people to another planet. But aliens coming to Earth isn't going to catch our attention for long though, because May 27th marks the beginning of the next American Civil War, which will then lead to the outbreak of World War III. But don't be too worried about your hands or feet being blown off in the war, because less than a month after the fighting kicks off, a new fruit will be discovered that helps regrow lost limbs. Also in June, the very first human-chimp hybrid will be created, and June 19th also sees a new type of storm form called a mind storm, which causes people to lose their minds and go on violent rampages. As if World War III isn't enough already. Now we have a 28 days later situation on our hands. But the best part of it all, summer, it's really gonna end with a bang. When real-life dragons are discovered in the Rocky Mountains. They fly, they breathe fire, and they even speak English. Yes, specifically English. Sorry to everyone else in the world. You'll just have to watch these dragons fly around while we chat with them. Next on the list we have Darkness Time Traveler. Now, our boy Darkness has a pretty ominous bio on his TikTok channel / page / whatever you call it, reading, "Darkness is coming. The Shadow Network is almost here," from the year 2858. The Shadow Network? Jankies. I'm guessing that's not just a TV station that shows clips of shadows 24/7. In Darkness's latest video, they claim that the solar eclipse that just went down last week was actually a smokescreen for a bunch of alien beings to fly down to Earth on meteors, obscured from our view because of the eclipse. Because apparently we wouldn't be able to see meteors flying down the Earth because it's a little bit darker out. These alien beings are known by many other alien species though as the Planet Enders, or Endids. They spell it 2 different ways in the video. Gonna guess they wrote the text in haste though to make sure we all got this information in time. People from 2858 can make spelling mistakes too. Anyway, the Planet Endids have invaded a plethora of planets across the galaxy, and aside from their warmongering, violent ways, they've also brought a disease with them to Earth, the same disease that wiped out the alien beings who apparently once lived on Mars. So these invaders have been among us for about a week now at the time of this recording, awaiting the perfect time to strike. And because you guys are kind of watching this in the future, at least compared to me, why don't you let me know down in the comments what's going on. Next, we have the Greek military time travelers. In 2017, an anonymous man claimed that after serving in the Greek military for 6 years, he was invited in 2013 to participate in a top secret time travel project. According to his account, this project saw him travel to the year 3207, a journey that lasted 2 days. From his perspective, about a month after his story came out, another anonymous man from Greece also said he was a student student when in 2008 he was reportedly approached by a professor who offered him the chance to be part of a time travel experiment. He accepted and claimed to have been sent to the year 10,000. The purpose of this experiment was said to be related to gaining knowledge about a future war between humans and artificial intelligence. Again, I think they sent him way too far into the future if it's a war between humans and artificial intelligence. 10,000? That's pretty far up there. Maybe there's something wrong with the machine. And also, I mean, according to some other time travelers we've discussed already, that's a war we won't be winning. They could have just asked them, saved the whole trip. Next up we have Athos Salome, who's now being referred to as the modern day Nostradamus. He's made all these predictions about the future, a lot of them very similar to the type of stuff we've heard of before when it comes to end of the world conspiracies, alien contact coming soon, AI reaching a new level of awareness and taking over, more deadly natural disasters, a big war, soon we'll be able to communicate with the dead through artificial intelligence technology, you know, all your standard stuff. But what I find really genuinely interesting and kind of creepy about this whole thing is that I'm honestly not even sure if this Athos Salome guy is a real person. I've seen plenty of pictures of him, and I've read news articles quoting things he's apparently said. I've seen other people in videos quoting things he said. I'm one of them. We have a whole video on this guy on the channel. Check it out after this. But I haven't seen footage of him actually moving his mouth and talking on video. I've seen like one, but it's like a narrator over top of it and it's like low quality. It could be AI generated. And I mean, just look at him. Doesn't he look like he could be an AI generated image to you? I mean, all these news articles say he makes TikTok videos, but I can't find them. So what the hell is actually going on here? Who is Athos Salome? Is there a real person behind all these predictions, or is this some kind of artificially created thing? And if so, who created it?
Starting off this countdown, we have the intergalactic war. As I mentioned in part 1 of this video, there are a number of people on TikTok who claim to be time travelers from the future, and they are using TikTok to warn people what's to come. And according to TikToker Aesthetic Time Warper, on August 11th of this year, aliens will come down in their crafts and land on Earth. He continued on saying that eventually an intergalactic war will take place. Ain't that great? I hope the military starts working on space weapons because I feel like aliens would easily win this battle. Who knows what weapons of mass destruction they have. Moving on to number 9, we have the Civil War. One of the most famous time travelers out there would have to be John Titor. For those of you who don't know, John Titor is a supposed time traveler from the year 2036 and he's on a military mission. He first made his appearance on the internet in the 2000s on online forums. He would post about predictions or share stories from the future. But in 2001, Titor disappeared from online and was never heard from again. Now, one of the reasons John went back in time was to warn the world of impending doom. He said that in 2004, the US would face civil unrest surrounding the presidential election. He said that every month this conflict would get worse and worse, and then there would be a full-blown civil war by 2008. He predicted that as a result of the war, the US would split into 5 regions. Each region would have their own military objective, hence why they decided to split. According to him, the war would end in 2015 and would be followed by World War III. Now obviously this didn't happen, thankfully, but Titor argued that not only was he warning us about the upcoming wars, but he was trying to prevent it from happening. So maybe he did. In our 8th spot, we have the hurricane. According to another TikTok time traveler, on June 28th of 2022, a very disastrous and dangerous hurricane will hit between Georgia and South Carolina. He said that this one will be one of the 5 most deadliest hurricanes we have faced yet. Now, one of the worst hurricanes in the world would be the 1900 Galveston Hurricane, also known as the Great Galveston Hurricane or the Great Storm of 1900. This was the deadliest natural disaster in United States history, and around 8,000 people died as a result. So let's hope that this does not happen. I did not have hurricanes on my summer 2022 bucket list. In our 7th spot today, we have the earthquake. Honestly, all of these predictions seem to be geared towards the US, and I'm in Canada, so I'm out here chilling. But all of my American fans, maybe consider moving. So about a month after the massive hurricane will hit, a strong earthquake will strike. How fun! This time traveler claims that on July 23rd of 2022, the strongest earthquake in history will hit LA and will create a giant wave. Again, let's hope that this does not come true, but I'm happy I'm living in Canada. Moving on to number 6, we have 4 Vesta. 4 Vesta is the name of a meteor said to be headed straight to Earth. This anonymous time traveler has come to this year to warn people what is going to happen this year. And they claim that in September, a meteor called 4 Vesta will pass by Earth and almost hit the coast of China. Now, good news. He said almost, meaning we'll be safe. But a number of other time travelers say that 2022 will be filled with close calls and near misses. Hopefully, we never have to worry about one actually crashing down. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the superhumans. That one time traveler, that's literally his name, on TikTok went viral after having a strange prediction for December of 2021. First off, he claims to be a time traveler from the year 2485. According to him, he said that on December 20th of 2021, 8 humans will receive superpowers from energy waves of the sun. But then, by Christmas Day, something big will happen that will shock the world and change the way humans live forever. Now, those dates have come and gone, and I don't know about you, but I wasn't one of the lucky 8 to get superpowers. Also, nothing happened on Christmas that changed our lives forever. Just that air fryer I got, that things made life so much easier. In our 4th spot today we have the bunker. Now there are top secret bunkers all over the world. You got doomsday bunkers, military bunkers, you name it. But apparently in 2024, a 35,000-year-old bunker will be discovered. The time traveler didn't mention exactly when or how, but he did say that it will be found in Argentina. What is in this bunker, you ask? Well, according to them, the bunker has many secrets inside of it, such as ancient times, technologies, hidden codes, and more. I mean, it won't be of much use to us, but I'm sure it will be of peak interest to scientists and archaeologists. Moving on to number 3, we have the green sky. The TikTok user That One Time Traveler has made a number of interesting predictions, this next one being one of them. They said that we all must remember August 20th of 2022. So mark it in your calendars right now, folks, because on this day, the sky across all of Earth will become a bright green color, and that is due to the fact that a planet not too far from Earth will explode. The planet is apparently full of green rocks, and so its explosion will turn our sky green. He continued on saying that the green sky will last for about 5 hours before slowly fading back to blue. Now, a green sky seems pretty cool, as long as it's like a light green. You know, sage is a very nice color. Forest green, on the other hand, maybe not. Hey, but at least he didn't say that the green space rocks will come flying towards Earth, so that's positive. Coming in at number 2, we have the year 2714. According to this next time traveler, who has not yet revealed their name or identity, they are from the year 2714. Now, chances are we won't be around for that year. I mean, unless scientists come up with some life-preserving device, but still, who would want to be around for thousands of years? I'm sorry, not me. Anyways, if you want to know what life will be like in 2714, then here you go. According to this time traveler, in the year 2714, an alternate universe will be found, and same with a human fish species. So I'm thinking mermaids, okay? We'll find out that mermaids are real by 2714. That's kind of sad though, like I want to be around to meet them. Honestly, as a kid, I wanted to be a mermaid so badly. Am I the only one? Let me know in the comments below. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the Y2K disaster. Now, John Titor had a lot of predictions for the early 2000s. Not only would there be war, but he posted some weird warning message that had people worried that the end was near. The message he posted went as so, and I quote, "If you want to survive the coming conflict, learn to let fear keep you alive. Too many of you turn off the life-saving natural instincts and premonitions when it's convenient. The same person who has 5 deadbolt locks on their door will think nothing about getting into a parking garage elevator with a total stranger. If you want to live, keep your eyes open." I mean, it's good advice, but also, why was he warning people? He was telling people to be cautious and saying only some people will survive. Now, a couple of disasters did occur in the early 2000s, but we don't know if they were what John was warning us about or just a coincidence.
Number 10. What even is a multiverse? I think a good place to start with this list is with something I can actually explain. When the universe first came into being during the Big Bang, it was followed by a massive infinite infinite expansion, which we can prove as we can see it happening. When we look out into the universe, what we see is the past as the light makes its way to us. So, if we look out, say, 5 light years into space, what we see will be 5 years in the past over there. Astronomers with our modern technology are able to see out to a distance of about 42 billion light years into the universe, seeing events in places of space as they happen 42 billion years in the past. But we have no reason to believe the universe doesn't go further and infinitely. As the expansion continues infinitely with no stop, then things are bound to repeat themselves. Events will occur in the exact same form or fashion as they have before, like the formation of the Earth in a galaxy that is basically the same as ours. Life would occur in the same way, and decisions by those living beings would occur in the same way, leading to another you, or another me, or another us. But they would also occur in different ways as well. Every decision you make could be made a different way, and those infinitely repeated versions of you that exist would make those same or different decisions, leading to an infinite number of universes with planets just like this one with infinite different variations of history. This makes a multiverse. Theoretically, if someone is to travel backwards in time, they would now be existing in one of these alternate versions of history, one of these infinite alternate worlds. Number 9, the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect, sometimes referred to as the Mandela phenomenon, is an instance of false collective memory, a situation in which a large mass of people believes that an event occurred when it did not. It was named for a collected belief from a small group of people that Nelson Mandela had passed away in the 1980s in a South African prison when he actually passed away in 2013. Some people even remembered seeing news coverage of his death as well as a speech by his widow. But the thing is, that was nowhere near the only instance of the Mandela effect. One of the most well-known examples of the Mandela effect is the collective memory of a movie called Shazam that starred the actor/comedian Sinbad in the 1990s, when actually no movie exists at all. While this could be false memories or your brain filling in gaps, another big theory for why this happens originates from quantum physics and relates to the idea that rather than one timeline of events, alternate realities or universes may be taking place and mixing with our timeline. This theory is suggesting that the groups of people having the same memories is because the timeline has been altered as we shift between these different realities. While we can't prove this theory right, we can't prove it wrong either, and so it has remained a popular answer for an interesting phenomenon. Number 8, doppelgangers of the mind. Ooh. Autoscopic phenomena. It comes from autoscopy. In Greek, autos means self and scopio means looking at. The simplest form of an autoscopic phenomenon involves feeling the presence of someone next to you without actually seeing a double or anyone there. But the doppelganger effect takes the phenomenon a step further, so that a person may hallucinate that they are actually seeing and interacting with another version of themselves. But probably the most widely experienced and best known form of autoscopic phenomena is the out-of-body experience, seeing yourself from the outside perspective. They are all technically hallucinations caused by malfunctions in brain mechanisms that root us in the here and now, but just like with the Mandela effect, some people believe these hallucinations can also be explained with both time travel and or the multiverse. For example, you wake up out of bed but you can still see yourself laying in bed fast asleep. Some believe this is caused by your brain blurring the lines between alternate universes, or that perhaps you traveled forward in time and are now looking back at an alternate timeline of you that is still laying in bed. Now that may sound wacky, but what about when there are actually two people in the world who look basically the same? Number 7, lookalikes. So, do you remember in my first point how I was explaining that over the course of the limitless expansion of space, things are bound to repeat themselves? Well, we kind of have a pretty good example of that on Earth. Over time and through history, and even sometimes at the same time, there will be people on Earth that look shockingly similar to one another. We have all seen the photos of celebrities being compared to old paintings of people from the past, or two people meeting on an airplane that look practically identical despite not being related at all. The chances of even one of us being created exactly how we are so small that every person alive is pretty much a miracle. That's a positive. So to find someone else who has been created in such a shockingly similar way to you is pretty insane. For some, this just shows that building blocks can repeat themselves within the human species at different points throughout time, and if we expand that out to our universe, it just makes sense that that same kind of thing happens with universes. Doppelganger universes making a multiverse. Number 6. flying. A lot of parallel universe and time travel stories seem to do with flying, and I've got one such story for you here. And if you stick around for point number 1, there's another interesting event that I think you'd find pretty cool. So, back in 1935, when he was still a wing commander, Air Marshal Sir Victor Goddard was instructed to inspect an inactive airbase located in Drem, near Edinburgh, in Scotland. While flying over it, Sir Goddard found the airbase to be in a poor state, with cattle grazing on the grass that had overgrown. It was in complete rack shambles. Later on, while flying, he got into a bit of harsh weather, and to avoid an accident, Goddard decided to fly back to the airbase till the weather cleared out a bit. Now, as he approached the airbase, the rain oddly and very abruptly gave way to bright sunshine, but the real shock came when he also noticed that the airbase was now in mint condition and in use. He saw mechanics wearing blue overalls working on the yellow planes parked on the runway, and Sir Goddard failed to recognize any one of these planes in the base as any that were in use at this time. Instant renovation of the place couldn't have been possible, and the personnel weren't even wearing the khaki-colored uniforms that were the norm at that time. Also, the Air Force painted all their planes in silver, not yellow. The real kicker came 4 years later though. Europe was war-torn and he happened to visit Drem again, but this time he saw everything he saw 4 years ago in 1935. Same people in the same blue overalls servicing the same yellow planes, and he even found the plane that he couldn't recognize before, a Miles Magister. And you can figure out how that means multiverses or time travel. Number 4, the streets of Liverpool. There are way too many strange stories about the streets of Liverpool that seem almost unexplainable. Like visiting those streets is stepping into an alternate universe or an alternate time. But we're going to talk about one specific example. In 2011, a woman went to a mother care store to buy a gift for her sister. While checking out, her credit card was turned down and she went back home and complained to her mother. Then they both returned to the place where the store was, but there was no store. It was actually a bank. Now, either this woman is full of it and just didn't want to get her sister a gift, so she came up with some crazy story to explain that away, or, stick with me here, or she stepped into a multiversal vortex and traveled to an alternate time or universe where the store did exist, only to leave it back to our universe, which is where she told her mom and returned to the same location in our universe or timeline, but it was a bank. Or she just forgot where the store was, or she's just lying. I'm gonna let you guys decide, you figure it out. Number 3, deja vu. Deja vu is just one of those things that we struggle to describe. Sometimes an explanation of instances of real deja vu comes in the form of short mental time trips to the future. Now you could just say it is an emotional thing, some feeling of I have already experienced this, a close feeling of familiarity for a scene that's just happening. This could be caused by experiencing a similar event that has already happened in your past. You're immediately and maybe subconsciously entering pieces of knowledge about what will happen in the course of the next few seconds, minutes, or maybe even hours based on those things you experienced before, even if they weren't particularly important or memorable. But what about when those details you fill in are impossible to derive from your present knowledge because you haven't experienced them before? So you just know the layout of a city, although you have never been there in your entire life. You know what the person near you will say or do in the next minutes, verbatim sentences for example, which they have not said before. If you ask a neurologist about this, or any human perceptual, mental, or emotional phenomenon, then they will always have an explanation, and it's almost always to do with biochemistry in the human brain. But that answer is boring, and I'm going to go out on a whim here with the other people on Reddit and say that it's you mentally or subconsciously traveling to the future or to another universe to pick up information and relay it back to your brain. Boom. Number 2. What happens when you die? There are many theories about what happens when you finally bite the bullet, when we hit the hay for good, when we pass away. One theory has to do with the multiverse, and if it deals with the multiverse, then it kind of deals with time. The parallel universe theory claims that when we die, we will be living in the same universe as we were before, just in a different portion of space and time. But if we are now in a different portion of space and time than when we died, we had to have traveled time and space to a point where we didn't make the decisions or didn't experience the exact set of events that led to our demise. Now this is probably the most far-fetched moment from today because it deals with something we 100% cannot prove. But given the idea of so many different religions and beliefs believing in things like a world after our lives, like heaven where everything goes right, or reincarnation after death where we start again without a memory of our previous lives, it feels as though moving to a different portion of space and time or creating a new personal timeline when ours is destroyed destroyed, would someone explain those things in some ways? I don't know. The kicker is, we won't ever know for sure, so give me your theories down below. And finally, in at number 1, the plane experiment. Now, we're gonna end today with a real world experiment of time that could actually prove something here. We are all traveling through time, all of us moving at 1 second per second. Cool. Or are we? According to Einstein's theory of relativity, the faster you travel, the slower you experience time. And this isn't really a theory anymore, since some scientists have done some experiments to show that it's actually true. There was an experiment that used 2 clocks set to the exact same time. One clock stayed on Earth while the other flew in an airplane going in the same direction that Earth rotates. After the airplane flew around the world, scientists compared the 2 clocks. The clock on the fast-moving airplane was slightly behind the clock on the ground. So, the clock on the airplane was traveling slightly slower in time than 1 second per second. So, if that's the case, and this is where I go off the rails, if you were on that airplane when you arrived back on Earth, are you now technically in an alternate time, aka a parallel world? Or were you in an alternate timeline while flying in the plane? You were moving at a different speed of time, so you were experiencing a different time, although slightly. Am I completely pulling everything I've said today out of my backside? The answer is maybe.
Starting off this countdown, we have the alternate universe. Now, this prediction is kind of, it's really out there. Pun not intended. So it was posted on TikTok by a creator who swears they're a time traveler from the future. And even if they were, why would they come back to this year? And why would they post on TikTok? Anyways, not the point. According to the time traveler, they predicted that in December of 2021, 3 teens will open a portal to an alternate universe. I don't know about you, but I didn't hear anything about this happening in real life, so I doubt it happened. Plus, he mentioned that the teens did this by using a T-Rex dinosaur egg. So I have many questions. Number 1, where did they get the T-Rex egg from? 2, how did they then use this egg to find another universe? In our 9th spot today, we have Atlantis. Apparently in February of this year, we were supposed to find the lost city of Atlantis. Hey, maybe researchers did and they just don't want to share the news because then treasure hunters would be all over that and it would get destroyed. Not only did they find the city though, apparently they found a new species living there. They are a hybrid human-fish species, which I mean, doesn't that technically just make them mermaids? Like, human fish are mermaids. Come on now. I mean, H2O, just add water, great show. Aquamarine, great movie. I'd be down to meet or become a mermaid. In our 8th spot, we have Queen Elizabeth II. Now this one is pretty dark, but this next TikTok time traveler predicts that sometime in 2022, Queen Elizabeth II will sadly pass away. At this point, she is 96 years old, but honestly, she seems immortal. On April 21st, she just had her birthday and was spotted out and about, still doing quite well. So I can't see this happening anytime soon, plus I don't wish death upon anyone. In our 7th spot, we have the deadly tornado. Now, a number of time travelers have all said that in 2022 we will experience more extreme weather patterns. I kid you not. Famous seers and prophets Baba Vanga and Nostradamus both predicted this as well. So it's said that in 2022 the US will face the biggest and deadliest tornado ever recorded in history. It will be named Mammoth 8R. Now, Baba Vanga and Nostradamus didn't say we would face a tornado, but they did say that we would be faced with more natural disasters. And due to climate change and global warming, scientists have also predicted that this year and the following years we will experience more extreme and disastrous weather as well. Moving on to number 6, we have the Arctic Ocean. Here we have another very bizarre prediction for the future. But apparently on October 27th of 2023, a chosen group of scientists will be sent on a secret mission to explore an abnormal hole in the Arctic Ocean. We don't know how the hole opened or what's inside. But while exploring, scientists will hear a weird and terrifying sound coming out of the hole. They will record it and then give this recording over to the government. However, the government will hide this finding from us. Clearly, they have no clue what this sound is from, but are scared that it will alarm us and cause a mass panic. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the pyramids. Okay, so we all know that some people believe that the pyramids were built by aliens, right? Well, in 2026, something weird and intergalactic is going to happen to the pyramids, and it might be done by aliens. So on June 6th of 2026, this time traveler believes that the pyramids will randomly light up and their light beams will point up towards the moon. That's before they levitate up towards the moon. I really don't know, okay? It's confusing. Not only that, but we will be told to turn off all of our lights and to stay inside our homes. We will be forced to lock ourselves up and secure all windows and doors. We are also told not to go out or even look outside. The earth will be in complete darkness for 3 days. Now, I don't know about you, but I have a lot of questions. Like, why do we have to lock ourselves away? Like, what's gonna happen? And how are the pyramids just gonna levitate? And why? What does this all mean? In our 4th spot, we have the flood. According to another TikTok self-proclaimed time traveler, in the next 30 years, a huge flood will devastate the entire world. They estimate the death toll to be 100 million people, which is insane. But this is another prediction that Nostradamus and Baba Vanga also predicted. They both said that floods would happen in the upcoming years and devastate us all. Nostradamus predicted, and I quote, "We shall see the water rising and the earth falling under it." It's pretty straightforward. Sea levels are rising, and soon it will get so bad that cities will be flooded all around the world. But for 100 million people to be affected, that means the flood is going to be massive. Our food supply ruined and millions out of homes. Moving on at number 3, we have the Bigfoot. So according to a time traveler from the year 2743, in 2022, the Bigfoot will make an appearance and people will finally find out that he's real and not just a hoax. Again, that's fine by me as long as he's friendly, and we don't cause him harm and he doesn't cause us any harm. Except you already know that scientists are going to want to capture him and then study him. In fact, just recently, a hiker stumbled upon a Bigfoot footprint. He uploaded a picture of it online and it was ruled that it was not a bear or a human print. So people think that it could be a real Bigfoot footprint. In our 2nd spot, we have the massive sea creature. According to self-proclaimed time traveler Eerie, on September 17th of this year, a huge sea creature bigger than the megalodon is said to be discovered. Now, if you don't know, the megalodon was a massive shark that used to lurk in our oceans. It was 59 feet long with a massive 7-foot wide jaw, and it weighed about 66,000 pounds to 143,000 pounds. So yeah, they were massive. Imagine something even bigger than that though. I mean, I can believe it, okay? We hardly have explored our oceans. We don't know what's really down there. There's probably thousands of creatures just waiting to be discovered. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the giant aliens. And of course, what's a time traveling video without some more aliens thrown into the mix? Turns out that just next month, we will discover aliens. It's said that on May 24th of 2022, aliens will come down to Earth and try to take over. As a result of the invasion, there will be an alien versus humans fight off. However, the aliens aren't what we always pictured them as. I don't know about you, but for aliens I picture like a short green dude that goes like, "We come in peace." According to this guy, aliens will be 7 feet tall and dark brown in color.
Religious texts, maps, and ancient code all pointing to the possible existence of time travel. We have it for you. Let's get into it.
The Dresden Codex is one of the oldest and most important surviving Maya manuscripts, dating back to the 11th or 12th century. It's full of astronomical knowledge. There are all these detailed charts of the cycles of the moon, planets, mainly Venus, and it's all very precise. As most of us know, the Maya were able to predict solar and lunar eclipses with pretty incredible accuracy for the time. And one of the most impressive parts of the Dresden Codex is its Venus tables. These tables detail the cycles of Venus with such accuracy that it led to some wondering, well, how? Was it something they were able to figure out completely on their own? or did they have some form of advanced knowledge or technology? There's always been pretty wild theories about the ancient Maya, mainly that they might have had access to information from extraterrestrials, which is something I'm sure we'd all love to believe, just a fun idea. The Codex also features more mythological elements too. Now, most experts believe that the Maya were just super smart. They carefully observed the night sky and used all these complicated mathematics, which is pretty amazing as is, but there's always that part of my brain that entertains some of the more fantastical ideas.
The Hindu epic Mahabharata, which is speculated to have been written sometime around 400 BCE, contains a story that follows a king, his daughter, and their search for her perfect suitor. The king, King Kakudmi, was a powerful leader who ruled over a prosperous and advanced mythical kingdom located under the sea. To his dismay, he could find no one he believed to be worthy of his daughter Revati's hand in marriage, and so the two set out to seek the advice of the Hindu god Brahma. When they arrived, Brahma was listening to a musical performance, so the king and his daughter waited patiently for the music to end before asking Brahma who should marry the king's daughter. The king told the god that he had searched for many princes and had seen a good many too, but none were to his liking. The god laughed and informed the king, "O king, the princes that you thought would become the groom of your daughter all died. Their sons and grandsons and their friends have all passed away." Brahma then goes on to explain how time moves differently on different planes of existence, and that the time the pair had spent waiting for the music to end, although it felt like mere minutes to them, was actually 27 Chaturyungas, one Chaturyunga being 4.32 million solar years. And according to the story, Brahma was right. When the pair returned to Earth, everything they once knew was gone, as though they had jumped forward through time unknowingly and completely by mistake. While this might sound like nothing more than a story, which to be fair it likely is, the theory of time running differently on different planes of existence actually ties in greatly with Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. If you're not familiar with Einstein's theory, it states that the same law of physics hold true in all inertial reference frames, and that the speed of light is the same for all observers, even those moving with respect to one another. Simply put, it is the idea that the speed at which time happens is liable to change, although it will always feel the same to the respective observer existing in the respective plane. Furthermore, Einstein believed that space, time, and motion all collapse into a fourth dimension in which they all act on each other, and that gravity plays a major role in the passage of time, with a surplus of gravity causing time to go slower, and an absence of gravity causing time to accelerate. The idea of alternate planes existing adjacent to or inside of our own, with their own laws of time completely separate from our own, existing some 2,500 years ago, is pretty crazy. I mean, not only does it mention relative time travel, but based on the story's similarities to Einstein's theory, it might just prove it as well.
Nostradamus, born in 1503, is best known for his book Les Prophecies, which is packed with all these mysterious predictions about the future. The book is made up of short, cryptic verses called quatrains, some of which seem eerily accurate to events that would end up unfolding long after the book was written. For example, some people think his writings predicted events like the French Revolution, the rise of Napoleon, even the September 11th attacks. Now, some of his writing is very cryptic and very open to interpretation, for sure, but there are others that do seem pretty uncanny, especially when you look back with the benefit of hindsight. And Nostradamus wasn't just some wacky guy rambling on a street corner. He was a well-read scholar. He was very smart, but some people even think he might have had special insight into the future, some sort of hidden knowledge, like that he maybe had access to time travel. Again, fun to think about. The Roanc Codex is a very odd manuscript that's been confusing scholars ever since it was first discovered in Hungary in the early 19th century. No one has been able to decipher its text or fully understand what it's trying to get across. It uses a script that doesn't match any known language, ancient or modern. It's like a code or cipher that no one has managed to crack, but there have been attempts. The illustrations in the manuscript are just as strange, showing scenes that seem to mix religious, mythological, and fantastical elements. Some of the drawings depict intricate but unfamiliar symbols, as well as scenes of what appear to be your more standard religious ceremonies. There are also images that kind of look like stuff found in other ancient cultures, almost like it's showing this world where all these different cultures were coexisting. Is the book a hoax, an actual piece of some sort of forgotten civilization, or something else entirely?
The Piri-Reis map contains what cartographers believe to be a depiction of ancient subtropical Antarctica. Here's the thing, the Piri-Reis map was created back in 1513, and Antarctica wasn't discovered until January of 1820. Furthermore, by the time the Piri-Reis map was created, Antarctica was already completely frozen. The map was created by a Turkish admiral and cartographer named Piri-Reis, and although Antarctica isn't outright labeled on the map, many modern-day cartographers believe that the landmass located at the bottom right corner of the map is representative of the continent and how it would have appeared more than 34 million years ago before becoming a frozen wasteland. So the question here is, did Piri-Reis travel back in time to witness the rainforest-like geography of Antarctica? And if so, how did he know where to look? Or perhaps more likely, did he travel forward in time to learn this all from modern-day cartographers and geologists? Unfortunately, at the moment, we only have a small fraction of the ancient relic that is the Piri-Reis map, but hopefully one day we will be able to locate the missing pieces, which might help paint a clearer picture on the subject. However, it's also possible we never find them and it remains a mystery forever.
The Alexander Romance is a collection of tales and legends about Alexander the Great that have been told and retold many times. There are tons of versions of these stories dating back to the Middle Ages. The stories are kind of a mix of history with myth, creating this very dramatic version of Alexander's life. There's one tale accompanied by illustrations that people often look at and go, wait, is that what I think it is? That looks like a submarine. In the story, Alexander journeys to the edge of the world, where he encounters strange and fantastical creatures like a giant crab. He ends up acquiring a vessel to travel underwater to collect pearls. Again, there are many versions, but in one, he asks for a mighty barrel of white glass, beautiful as no one had ever seen before, which he uses to travel under the water. The illustrations from the time look almost like something you could expect to see in a science fiction story, rather than a medieval piece of mythology. So it's certainly interesting, but did Alexander, as great as he was, ever actually set foot in an ancient submarine and dive underwater? Probably not. This is one of the more embellished or straight up fictional stories, but could it have been inspired by something people at the time had seen that they just didn't fully understand?
The ancient Indian text Ramayana described the gods getting around in flying chariots known as Rathans, but of course, flying gods are really nothing new, so let's talk about another aspect of the ancient text, the Pushpaka Vimana, an aerial vehicle described as a large, superb aerial chariot that could fly at great speeds and carry a large number of passengers inside of it. Starting to sound familiar? There are a number of references to flying machines throughout the Ramayana epic that outline one, their aerial agility. Vimanas are said to be capable of riding into the sky vertically, horizontally, and diagonally, which signifies precision propulsion control, and in some stories they are even said to have visited space. 2, their speed, which allowed them to cover extensive areas within hours. 3, their materials. They were said to be made of metals and alloys. 4, their weaponry. Some of these flying machines were described as being armed with a variety of powerful weapons, which many people believe is an implication of military use. And 5, their energy sources, which include solar power and mercury propulsion. Mercury, which was one time strongly considered for use in rocket fuel, until safer options were discovered, that is. The similarity between the tales told in the Ramayana and aerial and aerospace engineering are pretty uncanny if you ask me. Maybe it's because the people in charge of writing the text, which dates back to between the 7th and 15th century BCE, knew what was coming in the future, and they wanted to be some of the first ones to document the inventions.
The Voynich manuscript is one of the biggest mysteries in the world of really old books. It's a handwritten piece from the early 15th century, but its language and even most of the illustrations inside make absolutely no sense, at least from what historians and archaeologists can tell. It's filled with weird symbols and drawings that no one can understand or translate. It's like the writer just invented an entirely new alphabet. On top of that, the book is full of all these weird illustrations. There are drawings of plants that don't exist, odd diagrams, and bizarre figures. Some of the images are so weird that they look like they're from another world. People have tried everything to figure out what this manuscript really means. Cryptographers, linguists, even computer experts have attempted to explain it, and there are some very plausible explanations, but no definitive ones. There's even a theory that the manuscript might have been a 15th century prank or piece of offbeat comedy intentionally written to confuse people. Others think it could actually be a lost language or code, but what if, just what if, the Voynich manuscript actually contains super advanced knowledge from the distant future, which was shared to the mystery author by a time traveler? That's probably the most likely explanation. I've solved it.
Homer's Iliad, which was written around the 8th century BCE, doesn't predict robots or AI in the modern sense. However, there are some intriguing elements that can be interpreted as early interpretations of artificial beings and intelligent mechanisms. One example of this is the myth of Hephaestus, the god of fire and craftsmanship who created automata, self-operating mechanical beings. Hephaestus fashioned mechanical servants out of gold, designed to assist him in his workshop. These golden beings could move and perform tasks on their own, kind of like the super creepy AI robots we see today. One servant in particular, created by Hephaestus, was Talos, a mechanical device cast in bronze designed to act and think like a human being. Talos was said to be the protector of the island of Crete, able to move around the island and attack intruders. In the end, he was defeated, but only after his opponent removed the nail from his heel that was keeping his life force inside of him. Or in other words, they hit the kill switch. Again, sound familiar?